Branding. It's all that you hear about these days, and not just from the marketing experts, but even people in the ID field are talking about whether or not you need a personal brand. In fact, this was a conversation I jumped in on LinkedIn recently. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through my thoughts on branding and if it's something that you need as an instructional designer. So you might be thinking to yourself, do I even need a brand, right? I have no thoughts and no plans to ever become a business. I don't need to do this whole branding, marketing gimmick thing. Well, friend, you actually do. So I want you to think about personal branding away from fonts, colors, and logos. And I want you to think of it away from how you show up on social media. For now, I want you to also think of your personal brand as identifying what your value add is, right? So what do you bring to the table as an instructional designer? I'm not gonna lie, these days I feel like I can throw a rock and hit a million instructional designers. And some are really memorable and some just aren't. And doesn't mean that they're bad instructional designers by any means. They could actually be really, really great. But I'm just not sure of exactly, what their standout thing is. So I know instructional designers that are, and we all know them, right? That are like the experts of accessibility. They're the go-to person when you think about accessibility. I know people that are the go-to person when you think about writing. I know instructional designers that have personal brands that are kind of rebellious, right? And they share what everyone's thinking, but no one wants to say. And these are all great personas if that's what you want, your persona to be, right? If that's what you want your personal brand to be. For all of these different things, if I am looking for someone who is an expert in accessibility, or if I'm looking to go to someone because I need like the real insight on something and the real, I don't want to call it tea because it's not gossip, but like the real review on something, I'm going to go to these certain people because that is their brand, right? I'm not going to go to just someone who's just an instructional designer but has never shown me that they have any interest or expertise in accessibility. I go to specialists. So branding helps to be that for you, right? It helps to be a guiding light for your interactions. It helps you be that guiding light for others as well in certain areas of instructional design. It just helps you become more memorable. So if I'm working at an organization and I need someone who's a really great writer, I'm going to go to that person whose personal brand is all around writing and making sure that content is great and the way that we're telling a story, right? A storytelling type of instructional designer, that's the person I'm going to go to, as opposed to someone that works in instructional design, kind of knows about storytelling, maybe has like watched a video here or there about it, but doesn't necessarily have all that background. The other cool thing about personal branding is that it informs how you're going to show up and where, right? So if you're someone that is really big on innovation and wants to try and break out of the mold and not do things the same, then there are certain industries that you're not going to want to go work in because you're not going to be happy. So I'm not going to show up for an interview, let's say for example, at a government agency. Love my peeps in government, did some work there myself, but the innovation factor is a lot slower to the uptick, right? If you're someone that absolutely does not want to participate in check the box type of training, right? And you want no part of it, you will say no to the work, government isn't going to be the one for you. I want you to really think about personal branding to help you weed out the places that you're not going to be happy. When you work somewhere or you work with someone, you want to show up as yourself. You want to be unique, but you also want to feel like you belong and you want to feel comfortable where you work. If you're working in a place that is the complete opposite of your brand, right? The complete opposite of your value system, you're never going to be happy. You are never going to enjoy your work. You're just going to be miserable and then back on that job hunt. With your personal brand, it's going to help you decide where you want to actually spend your time applying and who you want to be in front of, right? Who are you connecting with to help you achieve your goal of working at, like, let's say an Amazon or something like that, right? So think of personal branding in that way. As an instructional designer, your personal brand is also going to help you tell your story. So it's going to help you become memorable when you're in the interview phase, when you're in the sales process. It's going to give you that story that you need, right? That how you got into this field, your arc, your education, what you've learned, how you've grown in the field, and why you've chosen, this area to specialize in, why you've chosen this area to really focus in, and how you show up at your interaction. I think of part of my personal brand as like also being very pragmatic, and it's like a value in my organization. And that is why when we show up with a process. I live and die by my process. At an Anchor training, live and die by our process. When we deviate from process, that's when it just doesn't go the same, right? We have the bigger bumps in the road. We have the hiccups because we deviate from our process. And the really cool thing is that recently we worked with a new company. We started with them the end of last year. We just finished their first engagement. The stakeholder, right, the project lead that brought us into this organization was like, it is crazy the process you took us through. It's never been so organized. I felt like I knew where I was every step of the way, what I needed to be doing. It felt like we were walking through a process and you were there holding us accountable and also leading us through this process so we could even develop our own processes. And so she left that engagement feeling so good about us that she went and told the president of the company how well the work came out, right? And how it was working with us. That president, along with other people from the sister companies, right? So this is a larger organization that has sister companies. All of them are calling us to do work with them because they want to work with someone that has like more of that process, right? That is a little bit more methodical with the way that we do our work, right? So we dot our I's and cross our T's. Doesn't mean not everybody is like that. So my phone has not stopped ringing off the hook ever since she started sharing her experience. How amazing is that? I don't have to go out and fish for the work right now. They're coming to me. So it keeps that pipeline full. Imagine someone coming to you because they used to work with you, right? And saying, we really are looking for someone that is killer at custom interactions. And I know you're amazing at it. Will you take a look at this job opportunity? You never know. It could be like your dream job and someone thought of you. You didn't have to go out and look for that job. Those are all the powers of a personal brand. It's that word of mouth. It's how that person is speaking about you when you leave the room, or how they remember you and you stay memorable in their mind. That person at that company that we just finished that first engagement with, they left. But guess what? I know that wherever she goes, if they need a training vendor or they need an instructional design consultant, we're going to be the first ones that she calls. That's the dream right there. And I don't always feel like I'm scrambling behind the 8 ball. Someone else is referring for us, right? And doing that work. In order to get there, we had to make sure our personal brand aligned. Do the hard work and ask your colleagues, ask your friends, ask people that you know but don't know you all that well, what they think of when they think of you. And if it aligns, wonderful. If it doesn't, then maybe you need to look at how you are showing up in your interactions or the projects that you are putting yourself up for, or the feedback that you're providing, or how you are integrating yourself in meetings and brainstorming meetings and things like that. Maybe you need to think about how you're showing up in that sense. If you think of yourself as a disruptor, but you're not really doing anything that's disruptive, we need to talk about how you can portray yourself in that way where it fits and is so respectful in your organization, but you can start to build that personal brand for yourself. So how do you develop a personal brand? Well, I want you to think of these few things to help you develop your personal brand. 1, what are your values, right? What is at your core, the most important things that are important to you? Next, I want you to think of what kind of instructional design work do you want to be doing? Then I want you to think about who do you want to serve, right? Who is your ideal client? And this goes beyond like industry and things like that. I actually want you to develop a persona for your ideal client. Like, are they innovative? What motivates them? All of those pieces is critical and part of your ideal client, because that is what's going to make your engagements in the future more successful. That's what's going to continue to make your work progressive. That is what's going to continue moving your trajectory in your career. And then last but not least, how do you want people to remember you? All of this is part of that personal brand package. And then I want you to go out there and start to exude some of that personal brand, right? Think about how you're showing up at your meeting. Think about what type of content you're posting on LinkedIn. Think about how you're showing up in your just day-to-day interactions, right? If you want to be someone that's looked at as helpful and the go-to person to help them solve their problems, then you need to be the person that helps them solve their problem. But if you're constantly a roadblock for them, doesn't matter, that's your personal brand. So really do the work to sit down and journal your personal brand, your values, And I think that we all think we know what our values are. We think we can just like rattle them off the top of our heads, right? But really take the time to stop and journal and reflect. When you take the time to slow down and really think about like, how do I want to show up in this space? It makes it a lot easier to show up in that space. And then what it does, it informs the rest of your interactions, which is what we're going to be talking about all month here on YouTube. Marketing, content creation, how you show up and show out. So friends, I want you to click that notification bell and that subscribe button and make sure you are following along this month's journey. If you want to become a standout ID who really becomes known for, certain work, certain area, certain specialty, this is the month for you. It's April. It's my birthday month. Birthday is Saturday. We're hoping for a pool party. Maybe. Never had one in April. We'll see if that actually happens. I am excited to be talking about one of my most favorite things to talk about: marketing for instructional designers. And if you want to get any inside scoop and you want to continue to stay in touch, make sure you connect with the Freelance Learning and Development Network on Facebook. We're going to be doing lives and special exclusive content just for that Facebook group, so you don't want to miss it. Friends, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.